episode of the Wind Down. I know it's been a minute since we've posted on YouTube, but we are now getting back more consistent. We have a special guest with us today, and we're going to let him introduce himself.
My name is, I'm Reverend John Warren. I'm from Cleveland, Texas, and I'm currently serving on the City Council in Cleveland. I have served on the school board. A little history of myself: I taught school here in Alvarado, the high school, math and science department, back in the 70s. And in the 70s and 80s, I taught math and science in the high school there in Cleveland, Texas. And I served 9 years on the Cleveland School Board. And as I previously said, I'm currently serving on the City Council there. I served as pastor of Salters Chapel AME Church for 25 years. I married my high school sweetheart, and we were married for 52 years. She passed away in 2011. We have 5 children, all of whom are educated, and 4 of those children are currently living. My oldest son passed away in 2021. And that's me, and I'm a God-fearing man and love to serve, and whatever I can do for anybody, I'm always out there trying to do for somebody.
Alright,
Good to have you.
alright, this is going to be really good. So, I'll start with my question. How have systematic racism and actually, no, I'll start with that one. How has the perception and treatment of Black history changed over time with American educational systems?
Well, in my opinion, it hasn't changed because it's never been initiated like it should have been. I entered high school at the age of 6 years, and it was not until I got to college before I had any relative Black history. I mean, really a course in Black history. I did not have that in high school at all. Of course, we had teachers who talked about certain things that have occurred and had what Blacks had done and accomplished, but other than having a specific curriculum and a course, that never happened to me until I got to college. And it was at that time that I really felt good about myself. I never shall forget Miss Boston. She was a graduate of Harvard University there at Paul Quinn College in Waco, Texas, and she really knew Black history. And it was at that time that I really got interested in it, and it made me know and feel good about who I am as a human being. Because up until that time, I had no knowledge of Black history as we need it. And even today and at this time, there are people who are shunning it. I think it was back in 2005, the issue was raised at the state school board, and they vehemently rejected it. They didn't want it in high school. I think that's one of the reasons being is that they don't understand it. White people don't understand that they are a victim of social construction just as we are. The United States, our government, and the way things are set up is specifically designed for social construction. In other words, they tell everybody who they are. You know, you can say, well, do you know John Warren? Yeah, I know. Who is that Black man? That so and so. And these people here, they're different. They live behind the gate over there. They're gated people in the community. These are the rich people. And they always have some substruction to determine who we are relative to each other. The Bible specifically says that we should love one another. And the reason why it says that is because we're all human. It matters not what you have, who you are, where you live, what you've accomplished. You're only a human being, regardless of who you are, whatever. And America has not accepted that yet.
Mine kind of coincides with what we're talking about too. I get mixed reviews when we talk about slavery in schools, and of course, they're wanting to take it out of school, teaching it. Do you think us constantly bringing up slavery is hindering us, or is that something that we need to have, like younger people, to know?
Well, as far as black people, that's one of our ills. We don't know our history. And we need a curriculum, a designed curriculum, to be taught to black children. I'm not really interested. Well, and white children need to know it too. How in the world? How can you understand who you are and what your people have gone through if you don't have the history? And it's relative. We need it, and I don't know how we can really convince white people that we need it, because they're not interested in it. They're not interested in it. They're interested in his story, and that's all we've ever had. But black people have been involved in American history, not only American, but the history of the world. We're from the greatest continent on the face of Earth, Africa, and when you look at this and get involved in this book here, from Genesis to Malachi, all of the events that happened between those books happened on the continent of Africa. Okay. Moses didn't look like Charleston Heston. Moses was born in Egypt. Egypt is in North Africa. Okay. And our people need to know that. And it was not until I was in college that I found out that important thing, and then I began to feel good about who I am. And I'll tell you what, God made me, and I'm just as, my principal of my high school used to say, I'm as good as God got, and then he would say, that's poor English, but it's the truth.
Okay. So, what are some examples of resistance and resilience in Black history that have been overlooked or underrepresented in mainstream narratives?
Well, the history itself, there's some very interesting facts in Black history. How it all got, how we were exploited and brought to America, and we were involved in our initiating slavery as much as the white man was involved in it, and we need to know that. And we need to know exactly how that has had an adverse effect on us. Some of us still think that we're nobody, and we let other people determine who we are. I'm blessed because I had the opportunity to teach my children, that nobody in the universe is better than they are, and they are no better than anybody else in the universe. And I instill that in them, And I don't have to be involved with a certain group of people in order to make myself feel better, because I know who I am. God made me just like He made everybody else, and we need that history. We really do.
Switch gears though here. We see a lot of single parent households in the African American community. Do you think the deconstruction of the black family was intentional or like systematic racism? Or do you think that's just over time?
That's over time. One of the interesting perspectives about that particular question is this: that during slavery and shortly after, during the Reconstruction period, you're talking about Jim Crow and the Jane Crow area, there were more blacks married and families put together than there are now. And there has been a concerted effort on behalf of this so-called social construction to divide that and separate it. Because when you have a structured family, you have an institution, a powerful institution, and some people don't want that.
So, how do you feel as the black community? What can we do as a whole to become more unified and stronger to rise against these narratives that were put on us?
We're going to have to begin to teach our children. We need to teach our children and let them know who they are and who they are not, regardless of what other people think about them. We're so caught up in the hype now until it's really sickening, and we let other people define us. I don't let people do that to me. And I'm not mean and hateful, but I will let you know in a minute when you're stepping on my feet, and that I'm just as important as you are. It's really interesting that I have served in just a numerous amount of boards and committees and particular organizations, some so-called integrated with other people. And oftentimes we hear that N-word mentioned, and of course they want to apologize for saying it. And the way I have addressed that is this way. It's really interesting that we have 10 or 15 men in here, and that 10 or 15 men represent 200 or 300 years of education. But it's really interesting that 200 years of education hasn't elevated some of us to the point where we start insulting each other. And then that particular person that made the statement, I asked that person, I said, who are you? It's really interesting that you have named everybody else, but now tell me who you are. That's why I do that. Yeah, tell me who you are.
I want to talk about reparations. We hear it every once in a while thrown out. Do you think if we were to give reparations that would hurt us or that would help us?
Well, it depends on what you want to do with it and what you're talking about, money or whatever. White people, rich white people, I'll put it that way, worked us in slavery for over 300 years. And this generation of whites did not do that.
Right.
But this generation of whites are enjoying their specific lifestyle because of that. And we need to have reparations. Now, I don't think we need to have each one of us to receive a certain amount of money. But the government need to begin to support our black colleges. And we need to begin to teach our children to enroll in black colleges. You'd be surprised what you can learn in the historical black university. It's the best environment you could ever be in. Take my word for that. Why? Because you have teachers who are concerned about you. And when you're in college, you're a grown lady, you're a grown man, you can do whatever you want to do. You can go to class when you want to go to class. If you don't want to go to class, you don't have to. But you have some instructors, if you don't show up for class, they worry about you and want to know what happened to you.
Yeah.
Now, I've been on the White College campus, University of Texas at Arlington, Tarleton State. I've been on those campuses, they don't care. Sometime when you get to class, the teacher's not there. Yeah. They leave a tape recorder there with a lesson on it. You turn that on and you sit there and listen to that. But in that black environment, you really have teachers who are concerned about you, want you to learn, and I mean they're really concerned about you, and it's a wholesome atmosphere, and it's just like family. And we need to start teaching our children and putting them back in that particular environment so they will get to know who they actually are. You're never going to get that kind of teaching at University of Texas or whatever. You're never going to get that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
A lot of people shy away from HBCUs because they feel like it's not giving the child a brighter kind of, but I'm like, I think they need.
Well, all right. Well, now tell me, answer this. Who told you that?
Exactly.
The person that told you that has never been on the HBCU campus,
Exactly.
and you believe it. See, that's another area that I've approached when I give lectures. I've been able to give some lectures at Hill College and places like that. Is that how to think and not what to think. See, the media and all of the hoopla and everything tells you what to think. You know, and who told you that the HBCU camp, the education was not occurring there? Who told you that? The person that told you that has never attended there. And there was a reason why that person told you that. It's a matter of control.
Yep.
America has promoted what we call social construction. They look at the differences among us, the extremities among us, rather than what brings us together. That's exactly what they do. Rich people don't talk to poor people, white or black.
Yeah.
They don't talk to them.
Yep.
Yeah. And some of us get to a level where we stop talking to each other. And one of the worst things is among us is that we don't trust each other.
At all.
Yeah. You'd be surprised to know what Dr. King suffered the last year of his life. You'd be surprised. I have a presentation, and the title of it is The Death of a King. Did you not know that there were 3 black men in his organization sitting in his meetings day in and day out that were FBI informants?
What?
Telling the FBI everything. That's our problem. That's our problem. You know, we don't trust each other.
Nope. Or we try to.
And I wouldn't be surprised if it was not a black man that shot and killed. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised. That man, the last year of his life, the morning before he stepped out on that balcony in Tennessee, 65% of black people didn't like him anymore. 85% of white people didn't like him. And the FBI had named him the most dangerous man in America. How in the world can he be dangerous when all you're teaching is love?
That's it.
That's the danger.
The world doesn't want that.
That's the danger.
Yeah, the world doesn't want that. It's amazing. And I tell you what, you need to hear that presentation. It is amazing. It is really amazing what he went through with the last year of his life.
Where can we get this presentation?
I have it.
Can you bring it?
And I talk.
Yeah.
You
We'll get
invite
that
me
back
to
in.
your church, and I'll
Yes, sir.
Well, please bring it
I'll
because
give
I'm
it to you, yeah.
interested. Very interested.
It's amazing, the death of a king, what he went through from April the 4th, 1964, when was he assassinated? In 63? 64. And then it was a whole year involved in that. I tell you what, he went through some things. He really did. It is said that sometime before he was assassinated, and they were there in Memphis, Tennessee, and they were all sitting around talking and everything. Harry Belafonte was in the meeting, and it is said that Harry Belafonte asked him, Martin, what's wrong with you? You seem to be melancholy. What's bothering you? And his answer was that he was thinking that he had pushed integrating his people into a burning house. And I think what he meant by that is he's taken black people out of their own environment and put them in an environment where they're really not wanted and they're not going to get what they think they're going to get. You know, not going to be there. There was a young man that's a member of my church, Dr. Bishop Curry, and he talked about how it was when schools were integrated there in Marshall, Texas. He said oftentimes in the classroom he would hold up his hand to answer a question. The teacher would never acknowledge it. How in the world is it that a grown person can be like that? How it is that? How is that? And Dr. Curry came out of Marshall High School, one of those HBCU college schools that you don't like. And he went on to be the chief executive officer of Pfizer Pharmaceutical Company. They're the ones that make your medicine. Right now, he's in charge of Alcon Industries up there on 35 and Fort Worth. Yeah, went to a black college. How'd that happen? How'd that happen?
So,
It's really amazing.
I have a question. Where do you think this hatred came from as far as whites and blacks? Because I don't want people just say it's the color of your skin. I feel like it's way deeper than just because we don't look the same. Where do you think that started and where did it stem from?
In order for a person to be mean and hateful to you, there has to be some reason in his mind that he can feel good about treating you that way. And that's what happened to us. When the slaves were brought to America, these are non-human. They're not intelligent. And so we can treat them any kind of way. And they're taught, that concept is taught to generation after generation after generation. And if you really pay attention to what's going on in the media, what the media, the people on TV, the media, the advertisements and all that, they are designed to tell you a specific thing. And if you don't know how to think, not what to think, you fall for that. And that's the problem right now. It's a big problem.
People don't know how to think for themselves.
That's right.
And they also get real defensive whenever you try to give them another perspective on the situation.
That's exactly right.
So what advice?
And it is really as simple as this. Who told you what size dress you need to wear? Who told you that?
Yeah.
Huh?
White people.
Mm-hmm. Who told you that you needed fingernails that long? Who told you that? Who told you that you needed a ring in your nose? Or who told you to do that? Did you think and reason for yourself that you needed to do that? Or did you, oh, that's the latest I got to get. You see, you're letting others think for you. And I'll tell you what, it goes back to what F.F. Kelly used to tell us in high school. I'm as good as God got. That's poor English, but for me it's true. Yeah. And I'm no better than anybody, and anybody I meet is not any better than I am. That's the way it is. And one of the things that we don't notice, and it happens day in and day out, and it's happening right now, we all have a common fate.
Yeah.
One coffin fits all.
That's it.
Yeah. When you walk in to pick out the coffin, they all different colors and everything, but one size fits everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what we ignore.
So what is one thing you would say to this generation as far as starting to learn how to think for themselves and to stop being so defensive about getting another perspective on what they may not see within themselves?
Well, one of the things you have to accomplish with a person is getting them to listen. Listening is very important. A lot of people don't know how to listen. Are you really concentrating on what I'm saying, or are you waiting and thinking about what you're going to say after I talk?
Yes.
See, you really need to concentrate on it. And then you need to search yourself and say, well, why is he telling me that? Yeah. Is it true? The truth will make you free. The church is not like it was when I was a child, or in my early adulthood. The church has now become an entertainment center.
Yes.
You really, you know what? If you really study, if you really study this book, it'll help you. Because every event in this book can be repeated in your life if you believe it. And the answer to every problem is right here. This is the constitution of the universe, right here. And one of our ills today is people don't believe that God still exists. And there's so much evil and hatefulness going on now, and people that don't think God is have any control. But the book tells you exactly what's going on right now. In this book is your history before you was ever born. This is our history before you was ever born. And I tell you, it is something right here. And you need to study it and see how it is that these events apply to you. The things that are happening in this world right now is the same thing that was happening when Noah was building the ark.
I know he mentioned like people were still getting married, going on with their lives, not
Having a
even
good
knowing,
time. Yeah.
not even knowing what was
What?
coming, and that's exactly what's happening
Yeah.
now.
Watch that one-eyed deal over there. See how the people are partying.
Mm-hmm.
Time your little boy get that tall, you give him a basketball and football.
Mm-hmm.
Have you said anything to him about God? Where he came from? It was not your decision to be born. There was a time when you didn't even know who you are.
Yeah.
That was not your decision. And it's not your decision on the day of your demise.
Mm-hmm.
Who put all that together? A supreme being. That's where it comes from.
I think what concerns me the most about this generation is they believe more about the devil than they do God. When you bring up God, they're like, oh, he's not real, da, da, da. But as soon as you mention the devil, they're like, oh, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, but
One
how you
can't
gonna
exist
believe
without the
one?
other.
Yeah, without, but not the other. I just don't
The
understand.
devil has a lot of influence. This is his domain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was kicked out of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's brazen. He challenged his maker to take over heaven. And he had a lot of influence. He took 2/3 of the angels with him. 2/3 is more than half. And they're here. Yeah. And I always refer to him as the devil with his 3 imps: fear, hate, and deception. Now, which one of those it bothers you the most? Fear, hate, and deception. It's the one you feed the most. It's got you hung up. Yeah, he's powerful. He creates that other platform, the narrative of the situation. He says to Eve, did God really tell you? Started her thinking, did God really say that? Oh no. Did he tell you you won't really die? You hear that? He just doesn't want you to be like him. So the sin did what to us? It made us like God. But we're finite. We know good and evil. We know both of them. But I said we just can't handle it. We have every emotion God has because he put it in us. We just can't handle it. just so much we can think about, and that's it. And everything that's happening now has to happen. Why? Because it's written in this book. God, He knew it. Yeah. When you look at the 24th chapter of Matthew, the disciples asked Jesus, what would be the signs of your coming? You read that, and it tell you, and it's exactly
So
what's
I
happening.
read something that where it said that Jesus doesn't even know the coming.
That's right.
Only God knows.
He says that in there. Only the Father knows.
When I read that, I was like, oh, so that's yeah.
Only the Father knows.
I feel like
the
that's a
time.
misconception too. That people be like, oh, Jesus, he doesn't even know either. The only person who knows is God.
That's right. Day and the time. Yeah. And you know, it's I preached Bobby Halfwood's funeral this past Saturday, and I tried to really get into the people's mind. God put His Spirit in us. Now I'm sitting here looking at all of you, and I know that's Kevin and you and then his wife, but that's all I know. I don't know your spirit. But your spirit, this flesh, it goes back to the dust, and that spirit lives forever. Now the question is, whereabouts? And so the subject of my sermon was, where will you spend eternity? Will it be with God, or will it be with Satan? Yeah. It's amazing. Now, your spirit will have the exact identity of you right now. Now, how do I know that? Well, when you look in the book of Luke, 9th chapter, it'll tell you. Jesus takes Peter, James, and John up on the Mount of Transfiguration, and He showed them Moses and Elijah. They were talking to Him, telling Him about the crucifixion. There they were. They exist. Their tenure was years before Jesus was ever born. But there they were. This thing is real. And people don't believe it. Where will you spend eternity? It's true.
Because of the upcoming election, I think is an important question. We see a lot of younger people, not just African American, but all races, that truly feel like their voice isn't heard, so they don't want to vote. What advice would you give?
Well, they should vote, and I don't blame them for feeling the way that they feel, because I feel the same way. The government has not done what it needs to do in terms of not only black people, but all of America. Everybody. America right now is in a period where this is the last part of them having world power. This is the last part of it. And we need to understand that. There's a lot of hateful feelings and everything going on. And I can understand a person not wanting to vote. Let me tell you this. I was born February 17, 1939. That's 85 years ago. Between that period and right now, there have been 8 Democratic presidents, 7 Republicans. There hadn't been any significant change. So why should I vote? have to understand the political problem is, you got two parties, Democratic, but they're the same, they're not different. They're not different. They're no different. Yeah. Harry Belafonte once said, while he was sitting between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, he said, now, politicians come to us and ask for our vote, and we tell them about poor people in America and what needs to be done, the educational system, blah, 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 blah. He said, and some of them go in our communities and they see for themselves what exists and what doesn't exist and everything. And we vote for them and they walk into positions of power and then they forget all about us. He says, so I'm sitting here right now wondering if there's anything worth salvaging in the Democratic Party. You should have seen the expression on Obama's face. You have to know the politics. Oh, I tell you, if you just knew politics. Donald Trump said that the election was a fraud because he knows that has happened before. Yeah. It didn't happen when it happened a long time ago. Yeah, he knows. And to add insult to injury, back in the 70s, Donald Trump was a Democrat. Giuliani, his comrade, was a prosecuting attorney there in New York. He was a Democrat. Now they're
Sweet sides.
so I don't think bad of those young people saying they're not going to vote, but they should. And I'm going to vote, and I call myself, I'm voting for the lesser of the two evils. That's what I'm doing.
That's all we can do.
That's all we can do. And remember, God is in control. Everything that's occurring right now is in this book. He said it would happen that way, and it has to, because what? He's the creator. We have to, one of the other ills when it comes to the Bible and believing in God is because he does some things that we don't understand. God has a reputation of taking nothing and doing something with it. And the reason why he does that, so when you see it, you know it wasn't that, but it was him that did it. That's the message. People not getting that message. Yeah. And every time he's picked a leader, he went into that person's environment and got the leader out of there. Why? Because he wanted the leader to look just like the people that the leader's trying to have. Dr. King looked just like us. Yeah.
We appreciate you for
Yes.
coming on this platform. I know you were on the other one. I feel like this one is much better because I feel like the other one we had to kind of rush it because we had so many people and then opinions. So that's why we wanted you to bring you on ours, so we could actually have time to actually talk and get that dialogue that we were trying to get from you. But yeah, so.
Alright, y'all,
So we're gonna close out here. We appreciate you all for watching, and
Stay tuned for more.
stay tuned for more. We really appreciate John for coming on the show. This is a very
I'm in
wise.
the middle of this presentation.
This is a very wise band,
Alright,
and we do plan on hopefully allowing him to come back and give us some more insight regarding the Bible, religion, and all that good stuff. So we're gonna close out here. Thank y'all for watching. Until
But how can I hide you without a name?